Little River Arts Council invites you to meet Shannon Goshorn, science teacher and potter. Shannon talks to us about her meandering education in clay, which all began from a course in high school.
Well, my high school had some great art teachers, and they had a ceramics, like a 9 weeks ceramics class that you could do. So I did that and kind of got the bug. And then when I went to college, I took some art classes as electives just because I was interested in art, had to drawing one or 2D art to be able to take ceramics. And that's really what I wanted to do. So I took it in college, and my ceramics teacher was tough. We did all hand building, and she showed us once how to throw something.
Wow.
We had to throw, the rule was you had to throw a 6-inch cylinder out of a pound and a half of clay, something like that, and show it to her before you're allowed to fire anything you threw. So I spent a lot of time trying to do that, and I never was able to fire anything, but still learned a lot from her about hand building. And then I worked at a church in Raleigh, North Carolina for a couple of years after college, and I took a couple classes at the NC State Arts Center, which was it was a center for adult education that was attached to NC State, and they had a great program there. So I took classes, and then you could just pay money for studio access, and so I'd spend lots of free time there making things, and that's where I really learned how to throw. And then a few years later, I worked for a summer in Montreat, North Carolina, which is a college, and in the summer it's a Presbyterian conference center. So I worked there in their clay studio, and just doing basic stuff, but they'd have artists in residence who would come through and teach the people who were coming, and also staff. I was in grad school in Montevallo. I audited a clay class just to keep going with it, and formed some relationships with the professors there, and they allowed me to be a studio assistant while I was there, and so I loaded kilns a little bit and mixed some glazes for them, and I even was able to teach a couple classes for one of the professors while he had to be out of town. Got to teach the things he didn't want to teach, so like lids and handles. When you're learning how to throw, your throwing instructor the first time is going to say, do this, probably, do this, when you get to this stage, do this when you get to this stage, because all you can teach is the way you do things, but everyone's hands are different and perspectives are different. So I certainly learned what worked for me by getting taught by a whole range of people.
Oh, yeah.
So that's pretty wonderful. And nowadays, I've taken 2 online workshops recently since the pandemic, because so many potters who would travel around and do workshops are doing online workshops, virtual workshops that you can take with Zoom and then watch the recording later. So I'm having access to these amazing artists now from like other, side of the nation, really. I took one from someone who's in Seattle. And that's been really kind of a silver lining to pandemic life. So I mix my own glazes, and there's an artist who mixes her own slip. So these textiles with a white slip, which is really just watered down clay. And the back, it's labeled. It's all-purpose white slip with, this has 27% turquoise mason stain. You first paint them on the clay, they're not this bright, but they brighten up with the clear. There's a clear glaze over top of all of it.
Okay.
So, anyways, it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
And this is a newsprint transfer process.
Oh, wow.
So it's painted and like, what's the word? Slip trailed with like a bottle. That's what the dark lines are, slip trailed on that. And then so you paint out what you want, and then you can turn it over and apply it to a slab of clay to get whatever you've drawn or painted onto the clay. So that was a wonderful artist named Katie Miller who did a workshop. I learned a lot from her. So I'm just starting. I've only done 2. I wanted to fire this and see what this looked like before I mixed up any more color.
So next time we come to visit you, you'll have a new studio upstairs.
Yes.
And we'll get a demo